What is up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at my game week 3 plans, how awful my game week 2 was, and the transfers I'm going to be making. Yeah, let's get into it. As you can see, the results in game week 2 were pretty awful. I mean, Haaland and Salah did well, so technically the Haaland and Salah draft didn't fail, but every other player in the team did fail, except Salah, Mr. Reliable, but his points were the luckiest out of all of them. I don't know how Arsenal kept a clean sheet. Watkins just had probably the worst game of his life. So yeah, we did end last week at 940k, and now we're all the way down to pretty much 3 million in the world, which is awful. I did not expect to be doing this bad. I think this time last year I was near like 200k, so definitely a very different feeling. But a slow start was always on the cards, guys. It's about how you adjust. But yeah, there's a lot of fires that need putting out. There's 4 players that I'm not happy with having in my team right now. First one is Nkunku, who's definitely got to go. Then there's Isak, then there's Chris Wood, and then there's Mikalenko. Now, Chris Wood hasn't actually been doing that bad. He got 9 points in the first game, then only 1 point in the next. I mean, he's what you'd expect from a 6 million player. But since Forest just spent 30 million on Nketiah, I think his time is very limited. I'm just hoping he can last one more game week up until they play Wolves next weekend, which I think he can do. So, with Chris Wood, I think I'm going to hold him for just one more week because I think he can get me a return in that next game week. And there's many more fires that need putting out, which are far worse. The worst one is Nkunku. Mikalenko is not awful. He has gone down to 4.4 million. So, if I do sell him, it's basically just a waste of a transfer. So I'm not really considering selling him. He's got some good game weeks coming up, so I may as well just keep him in for now and live with my losses. Finally, there is Isak, who could still do well, but he's been pretty awful so far. But I think that's mainly down to how bad Newcastle have been as a team, not just him as a player. So he still hasn't shown us what he can do yet. But yeah, hopes aren't very high for him at the moment either. Looking at the current Game Week 3 team, there's not a lot of bad fixtures in there. The only one I don't like really is Eze playing away to Chelsea. But after that, he's got 3 pretty easy games. And he's been unlucky to not get points so far. So I'm definitely going to keep Eze in, even though going for a Liverpool midfielder for just zero point 0.5 more is insanely tempting. I'm going to, give him a bit more time, give him a chance to prove himself. Leon Bailey's also kind of been disappointing, but the next 4 game weeks for Aston Villa are the best in the league, so there's no way I'm selling him ahead of that. I'm pretty happy with everyone in this team, except, once again, Nkunku and Isak. So we're going to look at potential players to replace them with. First off, though, I'm going to show you their stats and why I think they're worth selling. Also, my captain is probably going to be Haaland. Technically, West Ham isn't the easiest game when they're playing away from home, but West Ham are 4th worst in the league for expected goals conceded, which means Haaland could be in for a couple goals. First of all, looking at the Isak stats here, the expected goals and the expected assists are terrible. The expected points are really low, and the fixtures aren't even that good anymore. His predicted points are still high, so that AI obviously thinks he's going to do well. But me personally, I think he's got a long way to go to be getting points like that every week. He's definitely not been worth the 8.5 mil so far. And with Watkins, like I said, Aston Villa having the best fixture run in the league, it's very tempting to go bring in Oliver Watkins. But to do that, I would have to sell Nkunku for a player that's 0.5 mil cheaper. And there's not many options around his price point at all, except for the ones I already have. So if we pull up the Ollie Watkins fixtures here, you can see they're insanely good. They're all greens. You look at the expected points, it's quite high. The expected goals, they're quite high. And even the predicted points, they're not as good as Isak's, but they are still all green. They're good. He also should be on some more goals than he currently is. He could have scored 2 against Arsenal, if I'm being honest, or at least 1. One of them, he had an awful miss, and the other one, Raya made a great save. But even then, it was a bad shot from Watkins. Both of them were quite bad. But you know how good he can be. He's usually Mr. Consistent, so I'm not letting that put me off him too much. But once again, like I said, I would need to sell Nkunku for someone a lot cheaper. And I've come to about one option that I think I could replace Nkunku with that's cheaper. But even then, it's still a big risk. Looking at the Nkunku predicted points here, they are terrible. The fixtures are good, but the fact he's not predicted to start any of the next 4 games is very alarming. Looking at his expected data there, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look great, but you have to understand he's not played enough minutes for the results to be accurate. Like 7 expected points per 90 is completely not the case. He's got 2 points in 2 games. So yeah, guys, ignore that one. He's only got 0.2 expected goals across the entire season as well. I say entire season, it's been 2 games, but you get what I mean. The stats are kind of misleading on this one. And I'm going to show you the person who I think I'm going to replace him with. But you guys are going to think I'm stupid. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. Here we have Mr. Semenyo from Bournemouth. Now, guys, please Let me explain myself first, okay? In terms of expected points, he is 10th in the league, and that's up against players like Salah, Haaland, Son, and Palmer, okay? With him being only 5 mil, hitting those numbers, it's pretty good. The predicted points as well for a 5.5 mil midfielder are not too bad as well. Out of all the Bournemouth players, he's definitely the most expected to be involved in a goal. Looking at his heat map, he had a lot of touches in and around the box in areas where you would find yourselves getting goals and an assist. And if you look at that data at the bottom, guys, he's getting 0.9 expecting goal involvements per 90. That is insanely good for any player in the game, let alone someone that's only costing 5.5 mil. And the fixtures haven't been insanely easy for him anyway. He played away to Forest and home to Newcastle. That's not exactly games you'd expect big things from. The fixtures coming up also are not that easy, but they are playing away to Everton, and I think Everton have conceded 7 goals in the last 2 games, so you could expect a couple of goals from Bournemouth in that game as well. And even playing home to Chelsea, I mean, it's not easy, but it's not awful. Even when Chelsea dominate and score 6 goals, they still conceded 2 against Wolves, so Bournemouth could get goals in that one as well. The Liverpool game obviously is hard, but you can just rotate him with someone else in the team. Like me, I've got Amad Diallo. Then after that, he's playing home to Southampton, the easiest possible game in the league. So on paper, data-wise, this guy is the player to get. Not a lot of people are talking about him yet, which I quite like. I can imagine if he does get a goal involvement in game week 3, everyone's going to be talking about him because that would be 3 goal involvements in 3 games for a 5.5 mil player. That's insane. And with Solanke gone, it seems to me that more of the Bournemouth midfielders are more involved in the play than instead of just getting everything to Solanke, they're actually having to get everyone involved, which is working for them. I mean, they're not doing awful. They could do a bit better, but it's better for their FPL assets who are quite cheap in midfield. It's also worth noting that Tavernier actually has better underlying data than Semenyo at this moment in time, but I think that's going to change soon. Tavernier is not as much of an advanced player, and he's not got as many things like shots in the box, which is a small indicator to how many chances you're actually going to get. So for now, I'm still going with Semenyo, but Tavernier could also be a cheeky option as well from that Bournemouth attack. So yeah, let me give you guys a quick overview as to what I'm thinking here. So obviously that first transfer with Nkunku being sold has to be made if I want to get Watkins in the team. And Nkunku transfer, I'm most likely going to make, guys, okay? He's going down in price. He's already gone down to 6.4. He might even go down to 6.3. And with Semenyo being an unknown differential, what's not to love? There is also that chance as well that I do roll the transfer, but with a lot of fires that need putting out, I'm probably not going to roll. The only problem is, I just don't know which fires to put out first, so I could just stack up another transfer, but I'm not patient enough for that. The most likely scenario is that I do sell Nkunku for Semenyo. Fingers crossed it works. I hope you guys don't think I'm stupid. And maybe we're going to sell Isak and go for Watkins, but that is not the highest priority, and it's not an essential transfer because Isak could still do well. Newcastle could actually have a good game and he could score a couple goals. It's not all over for him yet. But like I said, Watkins is insanely tempting with the easy fixture run. Going back to looking at the current team again with 2 free transfers and 0 mil in the bank, what would you guys do with the team? Is there anyone else you would prioritize transferring out, or do you agree with me? Also, I want to know who you guys would captain in this team as well, because Haaland and Salah don't have the easiest games, and you've got a player like Chris Wood, who, he's playing Wolves at home. It is Chris Wood. He's not guaranteed many points, but, some of you guys might like a differential captain. Yeah, please let me know. Anyway, if you did make it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. Rate my transfer plans from 1 to 10. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to join the mini league. And yeah, guys, I will see you in the next video.